test of the curse appears to be linked to Cambodia's long history of political turmoil, poverty, and backwardness. Now, like I said before, spirituality is something that people pretty much take for granted. They don't really understand it. They try not to be. Hey everyone, welcome to a Monsters 24 Reacts. Hopefully you guys are doing well and are in high spirits. Now, I came across this video that was very interesting to me. And this video is called Curse of Angkor Wat 2025. Now, it was done by Dr. Paul T. Carter. And I think that you guys should go to him, listen to him. Now, the thing is that he doesn't really explain everything that I was actually looking for when it comes to this. So what I'm going to do is, you know, put my little twist, my little perspective in this video and pretty much give you some type of insight of what I think as a person that been to Thailand and a person that been to Cambodia, quote unquote, Siem Reap. And I just want to compare those two together and try to get some type of different mind-provoking thoughts about it, because people don't realize that spirituality is real. It is real. It is very real. This is why a lot of times culture, and I'm holding myself accountable when I say this, don't want people to date outside of their culture, because the outside culture can bring in a spirit or energy that can diffuse the actual purity of the culture that is, you know. So for me as an American, indigenous American at that practice spirituality, that understand that, you know, the world works in a way that you feed it and it gives out. A lot of people in Cambodia, the Khmer people, the Khmer people, I should say, they don't have that same mindset, because a lot of their culture comes from Hinduism and a little bit of a majority of Buddhism. So it kind of has this thing where as though we have two different separate entities that we believe in, and it's kind of hard to decipher which one is, you know, the one that if you're together want to practice, if that makes sense. So this is why there's so much corruption that goes on in Cambodia, quote unquote Cambodia. And a lot of times we don't understand that when we go out our way to do something outside of what our culture is, that it can reflect our livelihood, it can reflect the country in general. Now, I could personally say as I go along in this video what it is that I believe, and that what I saw when I was in these temples, especially in Siem Reap. Matter of fact, I want to tell y'all a quick story about what it is that I saw when I was in these Siem Reap temples, right? When I went there for the very first time, I was very excited. I was happy. You know, we was riding a bike. We was, you know, going along, you know, going to these temples. The first temple, I felt a drastic spirit energy change. And I don't really know exactly what temple it was. I think it was the Bayon temple that we went to first. Or it could have been the Prakan temple. Prakan temple, I think that's what you call it. I believe it's one of those two temples that we was just like, me personally, not significant other than feel this, but I felt it. And she saw the worry. She saw me like sweating a lot. She saw me just drained out, because there was so many spirits that was surrounded me, that was speaking to me, that was calling for help, that was giving me puzzles and pieces that once was, that wasn't there. And a lot of the people around the world, they took from these temples, I mean, like artifacts, you know, a piece of whatever they can find that's viable to them, so they could take it to their country and display it as some type of display, not knowing that these artifacts and stuff has a deeper meaning to it than just being as a display. A lot of people that go to these temples, they, you know, pay all this money, you know, everything is a tourism type situation there, and honestly, it is not what it seems to be. Because when you put a price into something spiritual like that, it's going to have a massive reflection to the higher up, the spiritual beings. So you got to understand that this is just not our world, you know. But I don't want to really get into that part of it. But I do want to say that when I was in, I try to figure out what was the one that I was at. I think it was called, oh man, I don't even remember which one it was exactly, but I'm gonna I think it was called Banta Shuri. Banta Shuri, I think temple. That's the one that I was at. Banta Shuri. So when I was there, that's when I started really seeing like spirits coming up to me, speaking to me, and they all was pretty much trying to give me signs of what was once there, signs of what was around, things that just kind of got me into like seeing like different type of deities that was there. And what I mean deities, I mean like these things was like the statues that you see out there that looks like little creatures or something like that. They was actually walking among us at one point, you know, like these things was like actually real stuff. And they did a lot of praying and practicing to the gods. And like I said, Hinduism has everything to do with that as well, because they believed in the Shiva was, you know, being their god at one point, and they kind of combined that together with Buddhism. And this is going on since the 10th century CE. So this been happening for a very, very long time. And now when people come along and use it as tourist guides and try to get people to go pay for these things, and people take pictures, you know, because pictures honestly does more harm than good when it comes to these temple sites. Just these things was just really like pressuring me. Like I said, I could get more deep into it, but I really want to just get into this reaction. But this is something very, very telling about what it is that's going on, and we're going to go straight into it. Sorry for the long introduction. Let's go to the video.
Thank you for joining me again. Today I'm doing a bit of a different video than my normal Second Indochina War or Vietnam War videos. Born and raised in rural Appalachian Kentucky, I've always found legends, culture, folktales, and storytelling quite intriguing. Hence, 3 videos from Appalachia that some of you early subscribers really like. One on my family's moonshining history, about death and other sordid affairs. Another that's called For Reasons Well Known, where I substitute the moonshine with arsenic and adultery, but still include death. And finally, one about gravestone robbing that, well, includes death too. Having lived in Thailand for more than a decade and obtaining a PhD from Thai Studies, Chulalongkorn University, Bangkok, the culture and history of Southeast Asia is of great interest to me, and I continue to learn by traveling the region extensively. It is unfortunate that Thailand and Cambodia are effectively at war as I speak this. I certainly love Thailand, the Thai people, and I'm very fond of Cambodia as well, having visited many times, 3 times this year already.
All right, so as you can see, that is his wife. Now, like I said, she's from Thailand. Not saying that there's anything bad about it, but you gotta also understand the nature between and the tension between Thai and Cambodia right now. 2 different, you know, situations going on right now. So I know he tried to tread this really lightly, and I'm assuming at some point that, you know, he's just there as a tourist and he's not really familiar with what's really going on as far as like really talking to the people, really being grounded with the people like I was when I was in Cambodia. So it's just that I have a different mindset than, you know, a lot of people that just travel there just to travel as a tourist. Me, I traveled there and I thought I was just traveling as a tourist, and then all of a sudden I became more grounded and more well-rounded in the culture than I ever thought ever, just by the conversations I had with my significant other. So I'm sure that his wife, his significant other, probably had those conversations too about Thailand. You see, not saying that he's being biased, but not also saying that he is, you know, wrong about his perspective. Just like I don't think I'm wrong about my perspective, but we just have 2 different ideologies. And I would get into that a little later on. Like I said, I saw a little bit of this before, but when he get more in depth a little bit, that's when I start questioning some of the things that I'm gonna point out. So we're gonna get straight into that point.
The subject of this video is of an ancient Angkor Wat curse. You may not believe it, but many Cambodians and Thai certainly do. And I have some video from May of this year from Angkor Wat that may compel you to believe it as well. This legend resurfaced as part of this recent war, and I wanted to tell you about it because people's beliefs shape events. First, some of you may think clickbait with my video about a curse, yet my thumbnail is of beautiful Khmer, or Khmer as they call themselves, women. Well, Thai women would argue the thumbnail is spot on. I remember when I first came to Thailand, I received many cautions from Thai women to be wary of Cambodian women. These women...
All right, so like I mentioned, I didn't let him continue what he's about to say because, like I was saying, he has this bias when it comes to Thai people, and I'm sorry, he has this bias when it comes to Khmer people and from Thai people. You understand? So they already got the separation, so you got to keep that in mind. So I'm gonna let him keep going.
I was warned, could put the hoodoo voodoo spell on you, a sinister love charm that would have you lose your mind and fall madly in love with them. Black magic practices, I was told. It seemed so serious, I thought it might even affect the bank account too. I have a Thai friend who even claims his brother fell victim to it and is now a penniless, heartbroken sad sack. The Thai word for this spell is tam sane, and tam sane is a very common practice in Thai literature. Cambodian literature too, I reckon. So what is the curse? Well, some quick history is necessary. The Indianized Khmer Empire of Angkor Wat once stretched throughout Southeast Asia, much of Vietnam excepted due to the Annamite Range. It was truly one of the world's great empires, leaving temples all over many areas, including inside Thailand, with several today on the Thai-Cambodian border, which is one of the sources of the current fighting. A great gift the French bestowed upon the peninsula before de-Maoing. Suryavarman I was king of the Khmer Empire from 1006 to 1050, and he greatly expanded the empire, putting it on the road to expansion and glory. The legend is that he cast a curse, that if his bloodline was ever overthrown, great calamity would come upon those responsible and the entire area. Currently, social media folk are posting all kinds of info defining what the curse exactly is, such as this gentleman who listed 7 consequences of the curse. Spoiler alert, none are good.
Now, I thought this part was very interesting. 7 consequences of the curse noted. And you know what's really interesting about this, especially this last one, and I guess they highlighted it. I thought that was really interesting. It says the context of the curse appears to be linked to Cambodia's long history of political turmoil, poverty, and backwardness. Now, like I said before, spirituality is something that people pretty much take for granted. They don't really understand it. They try not to be into it because they so focused on what's out there in front of them right now. But I would tell you, a lot of the stuff that was happening, especially at that time, a lot of the practices that they done, a lot of things that happened after, you know, things would, you know, went downhill for the Khmer Empire and Angkor Wat, that the curse is still here to this day. And this is basically what I'm trying to say, is that when you go against that part of your culture, it kind of would backfire towards the other side of, you know, dealing with that culture, if that makes sense. Like, you can't sit there and act like just because things are happening is all somebody else's fault. It's pretty much something that has to be cast out, if that makes sense, put out. and revert it back to where it's supposed to be. And as he, stated, a lot of the stuff is pretty much like a long-term thing, that since the emperor at the time said if his bloodline has been, either like tainted or some type of separated from the temple, that all these curses will pretty much happen. So this is what I'm trying to say is that it is deeper than what we see. It's deeper than what we think.
Well, as luck would have it, around 1290, a Cambodian melon farmer named Tang Wan overthrew King Jayavarman IX, the last descendant of the great Suryavarman I. After seizing power, he crowned himself king of the Angkor kingdom, ruling from 1290 to 1314. A detail not necessary to understand this story, by the way. So the kingship bloodline now broke, the curse appeared, and great calamity came upon the people and the territory, according to the legend. Many believe that this curse is the reason Cambodia, once a great empire, has suffered numerous historical tragedies, including Western colonization, a genocidal regime in the Khmer Rouge, civil wars, and territorial losses. In fact, according to the 2020 Global Climate Index, Cambodia ranks number 12 for natural disasters. The resurgence of this legend follows an unusual event in May of this year. On 14 May, a group of Cambodian mystics were caught on camera doing a ceremony to lift the curse at Angkor. Here they are.
Now this is happening in Siem Reap.
Day affair because 2 days later, on 16 May, during a traditional spiritual ceremony held by locals on top of the temple while it was raining, a lightning strike occurred around 5 p.m., killing 3 people and injuring dozens, according to the press.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow.
The public connected this event to the legend, viewing it as a supernatural sign. Social media posters proffered all kinds of reasons for the calamity, some saying those performing the ceremony were punished for wearing Thai clothing rather than Khmer clothing. Now, as a Christian, I certainly believe in spirits and such, but as an Occam's razor kind of guy, I suspect dancing on top of a temple during a Southeast Asian rainstorm may also have contributed. And with that, let's hope, pray, and ask for peace in Cambodia. Many people have been affected by this war. I know many personally. God bless. Thank you for watching.
All right, so a little quick thought of what I witnessed here, to be honest with y'all. I thought that was quite a stretch, but I understand what was going on here. We live among spirits all the time, so there's no surprise about that. I think the only thing that I have an issue with is this being blamed solely because of he tried to say because they was wearing Thai clothes instead of Khmer clothes. I thought that was pretty funny to me when I first hearing it now. It just didn't make sense, but I can understand. You cannot come in and perform a ceremony without the proper attire. So that is something that you really have to keep in mind. That should have been something that they should have understood. That's number one. Number two, as far as this lightning, I believe that happened because of this so-called, acceptance of what has been given to us and give it to the Khmer people. And it's just that at some point they have to show a sign like, hey, stop doing this. It's like we can't see it, but it's going to happen just because you're doing wrong. And there's only so much that you can do wrong until you get penalized for it. So that's what I saw in this. I mean, other than that, a lot of the stuff that he said was pretty much on point. I would say a lot of the stuff in the middle areas that he was saying about, you know, how the emperor at the time, how he lived and what he believed in. I believed in all that stuff that he was saying. I got to really look more into it, because I find me learning something new every time I go into these reactions, because I did not know Thai. I know Thai and Kampuchea people, the Kampuchea culture, they've been doing this for a long time. They've been going at it, but it's just that I didn't know it was to this extent. So I really had to look more into this. But anyway, that's my reaction. Hope you guys will enjoy. If you have any comments, please leave it below. Tell me your thoughts. Please like, subscribe, share the video if you thought this was interesting to you. So thank you very much. Y'all take care.